Alright, so I've got a customer who needs some things done with a box joint jig. Now, we've already put our bit in there. The power source is off, so I can touch it. It's actually a pretty basic setup. The hardest part is getting yourself some cheater blocks set up. I will tell you that much. So we're going to go ahead and tighten down one side. Now, I already have a cheater block. And the way that I put that in there is, and we're not going to get this thing perfect on our first shot. However, I have found that after you do this enough, you will be able to cheat. Now, the old ROCKLER jigs did not have a hole for top adjustment. Now, this is a scrap piece, and it is not the exact thickness that I am working with. So, we're going to take that blade just down slightly. And when I say slightly, just slightly. I modified this jig to where I could do an overhead adjustment. The new ones that they have come out with actually have that hole there. So before we use our actual scraps, I'm going to go through once again. I'm going to kind of make sure that we are set up. I don't know. It doesn't matter what scrap you use. It honestly doesn't. What we're looking for here is that our grooves are going to align. So I'm going to trim these up real quick. And then, once again, we're going to make sure she's tight. We don't want her to move. And we're going to kick on a little dust collection. Open the blast gate. Oh, the power source was off, which is good. Alright, so it's time to check fitment. Now, since we're good. It fits in there nice and smooth. Now remember, we're not worried about that sticking out because our material is a little bit thicker. However, I do not believe you can't add it back. So I'm actually going to take it sticking out approximately, let's say about a 32nd of an inch. And so now that I know the box joint is set up, and it was just that easy. And you can burn through those scraps, make an adjustment, say you're fitting tight. You might need to move this in just a little bit. If you noticed, I made that first check and then I went all the way through. On this we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 grooves. Being off by just a 1/64 is going to cause dramatic issues at the end of it. I'm pretty confident that we have her set up. Now the way that I do this is I do my short sides and then I do my long sides. Now you're going to read a bunch of articles. They're going to overcomplicate it. They're going to have you label like A, B, B, and C, and they're going to want you to do them a certain way. Whereas me, I'm just going to show you how to blow through this, and you'll see how much time it really saves.
All right, let's kick on some dust collection. It's very important to remember, this is my first slot. So when we go to mate this big one with that one, and here's why I do the shorter ones first, because the way that I do it is I slide this way. And if I have the long piece over here with the short piece over there, I don't have as much grip as I normally would. Now, we're going to go ahead and use this for all the outside corners.
Alright, so the thing about these bits is this is called an upcut spiral bit. And you're like, why is it called an upcut? Well, it's actually a reverse of a downcut. Since we're on the table, we're doing an upcut spiral, and it's reverse. It actually sucks the dust back down. Once again, never touch this, so the power source off. Now, once we get to where we're going to get, as you can see, we're going to have a nice joint that was not very complex. We didn't have to mark all over this. But the important thing that you have to know is that when you're on this side, okay, and we have our first groove, right? You always want to make sure you flip that directly over so that you have a perfect mating piece. And if you noticed, I did both of those pieces, just one and then one, and I did both, and then I took them back through there. Otherwise, you might get turned around on what was your first actual cut. Because even with our minimum margin, I would say that at the very, very end, we're off by, I don't know, a 64th of an inch or less. Maybe, I'm not going to go into all that play. However, it's very important, otherwise you start out backwards and you're going to end up with this little slither at the other end of that box. Now, I know I made it look probably super simple, and you're like, how in the world? Well, I've been doing this for a long time. And you're going to make some minor adjustments, and then you're going to keep your cheater piece. Alright? Because then, once you have that cheater piece, it doesn't matter. Remember, the thickness does not matter. I could have made this out of a 1-inch material, but it just matters of these grooves. And then you take the bit to the size of your material, which makes it super simple. As you can tell, I mean, I've got cheaters for, you know, 1/2 inch all over here. However, I'll tell you, I use it to set up, but then I double check. And in all reality, these are my cheaters, and I keep them over here. And one thing, when you're using a cheater to set up, I used to use a lot of brass bars, and they're good for getting you set up for that first time. I'll tell you, nothing saves time like taking that extra time to make that template. Once again, thanks for viewing, and I hope everyone has a great day. If you learned something, that's awesome. If you didn't, I'm sorry. If you have any feedback, hit me up. If you got questions, hit me up. I'm on Clarkwood Products LLC on Facebook. Respond directly to the messages that you can put into YouTube. Like this video if you can. Subscribe if you want. Have a great day.